We won't do Cast versus Hull in the Challenge Cup because there is no point whatsoever. But we'll start. We're back at the Totally Wicked Stadium in St Helens on Thursday. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff. It's the big one. It's the repeat of the 1960 Challenge Cup final, which Wakefield thrashed Hull in. It's Hull FC versus Wakefield Trinity. John, you can go first.
Jeez, that's a tough one to pick. Two teams not exactly impressing at the moment. Hopefully there's not any big GPSs getting around. Look, I'd probably edge towards Hull, even though Wakefield have obviously, they've had a longer turnaround, but probably not been training in the full numbers with COVID, etc. But yeah, I'll probably lean towards Hull with no convincing ability because they haven't got Mark Snade. So let's just say Hull by 2.
Be interesting to see if Eddie Batty comes in on loan and makes his debut for Wakefield. I think he's exactly what they probably need at the moment. It would be a good signing. Again, let's just hope the game gets played, that there's no further positives out of either of those two camps. I know they're both being tested again, I think, tomorrow. We're doing this before we see the squads, aren't we? Which is really, virtually impossible. I'm going to go Wakefield by 4 because they may just be a little bit fresher, even though they haven't trained.
Phil knows more than I about transfers into and out of Wakefield, which is interesting. It would be good to see Eddie Batty in a Wakefield shirt. Certainly add a bit more to the forwards at the minute, obviously with the lack of the GPS man, as mentioned. Don't know when he's back. I've got to go wait for them.
Back in Bondi?
Back in Wakefield.
Oh, sorry.
Back in the red, white and blue of the mighty Trin. Wakefield by 2. It's followed by, this should be a good one, shouldn't it? Castleford Tigers versus Warrington. Phil, you can go first on this one.
Yeah, again, I don't know what Darryl Powell is going to do as regards keeping some players back for the cup tie. Or whether he's just going to, if you're fit, you're playing, and if you're fit 2 days after, you're playing again. Both teams will take a lot from their previous performances. Warrington, marginally the more impressive on the basis of the fact that I think with the personnel they had available, that was a really good display, incredibly solid, particularly in the second half, not conceding a point. But Cass needed a win, and I think Darryl Powell said again, he could criticise some of the elements of that game, but what they needed was their first win on the resumption. So they'll have plenty of confidence. I am going to go Warrington by 6.
Yeah, I think I agree with Phil. I think Warrington are building a bit of momentum. I'm not sure if it's 3 or 4 wins in a row. Blake Austin seems to be getting a try every game at the moment. And even with missing a few players, they seem to have quite a tight bond. And yeah, just building some momentum. So I would say Warrington by 8.
I'm because I've just been rung by someone from Castleford, I'm going to go for Castleford by 6. Up the Tigers. Go on, all the sides from the WF postcode area. Up Featherstone Rovers as well when they come back. Friday, 2 games. Starting with the entertainers, Hull Kingston Rovers taking on St Helens. Well, this should be a good one, John.
Yeah, didn't only play like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Look, the Hull KR were magnificent, but I think coming up against St Helens, even though they did trouble them in that game, I think in the first half for quite a long period, and it wasn't a big scoreline. You just can't tip against St Helens at the moment. Just too big, too strong. Alex Walmsley just has gone to a new level and is just destroying teams at the moment with his size and his presence. So I think St Helens by 14.
I think I'll go with home advantage here. St Helens at St Helens. I don't know if Hull KR can back up a display as good as that. I think that victory against Wigan will have taken a fair bit out of them. I think Saints are a machine, and without being disrespectful to Huddersfield, not sure Saints were forced to play 4th gear, 100 mile an hour for too much of that game last week. I think Christian Wolff is sticking predominantly with the players week in, week out. He's making very few changes unless he has to, and the style of play really seems to suit them. Been really impressed with Aaron Smith. Think he's matured into the player that they hoped he would be to at some point replace James Roby. So for me, I am going to go with Saints. I don't think it will damage Hull KR in any way whatsoever, but Saints by 14.
Yeah, I'll go for Saints as well by 12. That's followed by Leeds Rhinos, who have had a week off and didn't have to go to France either. They take on Huddersfield. So, Phil, you're obviously going to go for Leeds.
Yeah, well, it's the repeat of the first game back, the Golden Point extra time win. I don't think it's going to be that close. I just think Huddersfield are a bit busted at the moment. And as you say, it's precious when you can have a week of pure training. And it wasn't that Leeds were stood down for the fact that they had COVID in the camp. They have done some quite tough sessions under Richard Agar in preparation for coming back. So I'm going to go Leeds by 16.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Yeah, I think Leeds were pretty good in their last game. A bit to prove after that bad performance the week before, so I'm going to say Leeds by 12.
Yeah, I'll go Leeds as well. Leeds by 8 this time. And we finish on Saturday. Fingers crossed, in the south of France. Fans back at Rugby League. Catalan Dragons versus Wigan Warriors, John.
Yeah, it seems like Catalans played last in 2019. But when they did, we were raving about them. They have looked very good, except for the opening game against St Helens. They have looked very good, particularly Mr. Falau. And yeah, I think back at home, I think you've got to back them. So I'm going to say Catalans by 8.
I think with the schedule that teams have got at the moment, for Wigan to get on a plane and fly out there on the day is an ask in itself. I know that they've done it in the regular season, but these are difficult circumstances. The hope is that the one case that's positive at Wigan doesn't become more than that, and that they can go out and play. But it's almost like the word coming back from the Dragons is they have been absolutely kicking their heels, waiting for an opponent to come over there. It can be an intimidating place at the best of times, with 5,000 fans in there who will, you would imagine, all be Dragons fans. I can't say anything other than a home win. They'll want to show the rest of the rugby league world that they are viable as a force at home, and teams should come out and play them. And I will go. I know Wigan have got to respond. They were poor last week, but I am going to go the Dragons by 20. Flamboyant.
Is that French? I'll go for.
That was just a very poor description of the word flamboyant.
I'll go for the Catalans by 12. That's a nice round number.